boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Winning the Division, episode number 23. I am your co-host, Ryan Smith, alongside former NFL tight end Benjamin Troupe of the Raiders, Bucks, and Titans. Also played tight end for the University of Florida. Well, Ben, real quickly, this is an NFL podcast, but real quickly, what's your take on the we'll just get into the recording this a little bit before the national championship game tonight between Ohio State and Notre Dame. What is your thoughts on this game really quickly, and then we'll get into the NFL stuff. And who do you got tonight?
I mean, obviously, Ohio State is a better team, top to bottom, coming in, Smitty. But I think the thing about this Notre Dame team is, right, they found a way to make teams play their style of football, slow down, smash mouth, 4 quarters, and somebody make a play in the end. Now, Ohio State, something me and you talked about before the show came on, if they come out firing like a lot of people think they would, people going to be, going out to eat in the second half. They're going to just say, but if Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman can find a way to do the unthinkable and keep it a game for 4 quarters, I think Notre Dame might pull out the shocker because obviously Notre Dame rolls to the beat of their own drum. They don't have to worry about conference championships. They don't have to worry about conferences. They have their regular season, and we go back to that Northern Illinois loss. Maybe that was the spark that they needed. Look, Ohio State is the better team. That goes without saying. But right. I think Coach Day, even though he can't beat Michigan, has earned a lot of he's earned some. I don't know, some patience, some leeway from Buckeye Nation. But I think Notre Dame's window isn't the same because you need a lot of things to go your way for Notre Dame to even be in this position, even though they're going to have a chance to go to college football playoff for years to come. I'm gonna say the upset, man. I think Marcus Freeman, his team seems to have rallied around him. I remember when he got the head coaching job, when Coach Brian Kelly, moved on to LSU and no one thought that he would be in this position. He could put his name up there with the likes of Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know Notre Dame had like 12 natties. Good Lord. I didn't know they had that many. But no, Ohio State, if they win, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm going to pull the upset. I'm going to say Notre Dame going to make it sluggish and watch Ohio State prove me wrong for first quarter and a half.
Right. You're right. That's typically what they they like to do that for sure. I mean, it's really going to be a good game, I think. I'm hoping so anyway. I'm hoping it's not a blowout like we've had with TCU and Georgia, Michigan and Washington. Like last few years have just not been the best from a competitive standpoint, especially in the second half, like you said. But let's get into it. The divisional round is come and gone. Our championship window has been set. It is the Commanders versus the Eagles and is followed by the Bills Chiefs. But let's get into break down these games one by one. Let's start with Texans Chiefs, 23-14 victory for the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday afternoon, the first game that happened. Patrick Mahomes and company was able to squeeze this out. It felt like missed opportunities in this game for the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud took one too many sacks, held the ball too long. The defense just couldn't quite get off the field at times. Mahomes made that ridiculous touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. But what were your overall themes and takeaways from this game?
I think the most I got from this game is the fact I think you hit it on the head when you say missed opportunities. If you are Houston, sometimes when you find yourself, this goes back to the start of the season. We thought the Texans would just take a step forward. They would run away with this division. It didn't happen. They won the division, but they kind of took a step back. Tank Dell goes out again, but then they have the game they have against the Chargers. Now we got to go to Kansas City. And here's the thing about Patrick Mahomes, right? People kept saying he's not in the MVP race. Well, he hasn't had MVP type moments. He's not, playing up to Patrick Mahomes was 16-25, 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Out of 177 yards, 117 went to Travis Kelce. Now, Travis Kelce helps people understand this. Just when y'all start thinking he's taking a step back, I'm going to prove to y'all why I am the best tight end in football. That's taking nothing away from Brock Bowers being first team All-Pro. That's taking nothing away from George Kittle, with what he's done. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in football because when you need it, he will deliver every single time. But with all that being said, Kansas City has done this all season. They've given teams windows to take advantage, and they never did. They've given team windows to take advantage of, maybe just lackluster play, maybe just not executing because I think the thing is, Smitty, we've drunk the Kansas City Kool-Aid. We just expect Kansas City to win because it's Kansas City. Right. They got Patrick Mahomes, they got Travis Kelce, so on and so forth. But then you looking at the game and you thinking, dude, Pacheco, he wasn't really himself. The receivers didn't really do anything too much.
Yeah, I mean, Will Anderson and the Texans defense played winning football, I thought, throughout the game. And
now I will say
Stroud had a couple of moments, but as a whole, there was nothing special in this game for the Texans.
Well, I mean, I hate to do this, right? I hate to do because people are going to say, "Oh, Ben, look." I don't know what goes on with the refs when it comes to Kansas City, but some of this stuff. You start saying, wait a minute, man. Like, I get it. The refs are human. They're going to – but every other week, Smitty, you thinking, Well,
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. You heard D'Amico Ryans and some of the players. They said, we knew what we were facing against everybody, not insinuating that was the referees, but we all know that's what they were saying because they can't say that otherwise. So,
well, they don't want to get that. They're going to say it. They're going to imply without saying the actual word. But I will say this about Kansas City, and I'm going to keep saying it. What makes them dangerous is they don't care about style points. They don't care about how it looks. They don't care about the glitz and the glamour or the blowouts. They saying, did you outscore us? And did we not let you score enough to beat us? Did we make the – now, the play – There's a level of trust between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, like Gronk, and Tom Brady, like Jerry Rice and Joe Montana and Steve Young, like Ben Roethlisberger when he used to have Antonio Brown, like the way he. But I gotta say this again: why aren't defenses doubling Travis Kelce in the red zone? You're playing him one-on-one? A guy that is about as slippery as it gets. Incredible route runner. But he understands holes in the defense. He understands the difference between man and zone. He understands what y'all – because is it just me, Smitty? But every time he's wide open, you thinking, right? And listen, once again, Travis Kelce, and I'm going to keep saying this, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Jason Witten, and the list goes on. When you start talking about
Shannon Sharp,
Kellen Winslow. I mean, great tight ends. Gronk. I don't think it's close. And I love Gronk. What Gronk did for the tight end position, only they had the year of Gronk.
Let's throw my man Greg Olsen in there for the
Greg Olsen, another one. And listen, Greg Olsen started the back 1,000-yard seasons, and Travis Kelce took it to another stratosphere, right? Gronk has 3 championships. Well, Travis already got 3, working on a 4th. I just think that what Travis Kelce does, he understands, look, man, I need to be at my best when my team needs it. Yeah. I know they're saying we got to stop 87. Yeah, well, that's easier said than done because every hotshot defensive coordinator think they got a scheme to shut him down. And who's doing it? Yes, Caitlin Clark got invited to the game. I mean, she was at the game up there. I get it. But Travis Kelce is him, man. He really, really is. It's the way that he plays. And we're going to talk about another tight end later on in the show.
Yes, we will.
Not to pile on, but I'm going to show you the difference in applying pressure and feeling pressure. Well, shout out to Kansas City. What are your thoughts on, you talked a little bit, when you think about Houston, right? Super Senior, because D'Amico Ryans, 2 years, won the division twice, won a playoff game. What do you think was the biggest difference in the Chiefs versus the Chiefs versus the Texans?
I think it was simple. I think CJ Stroud and company just didn't score enough points. There was nothing special in that game. The Chiefs were able to score when they absolutely had to against that vaunted Texans pass rush, and the Texans offense was not able to score touchdowns instead of field goals, especially early on in the game. They had that weird special teams. I don't know if you saw I forget the guy's name.
Player shut. I don't look. I get frustration, and let me tell you this now: we all grown men out here now. Let's not let the magnitude of the. I get it. Everything is on the line. The playoffs. You're living and dying with every single snap, every single one. But I think that's a bit overblown because don't take your helmet off. You the one got the 15-yard penalty because you took your helmet off on the field because you thought that you caused a fumble, but they didn't get on the fumble. 15 yards.
Yeah.
So I've never seen anything like that. Emotions run extremely high in football, extremely high. Not saying it don't run high in basketball and baseball, golf, and so on and so forth. But we got to hone that in because at the end of the day, you're putting your hands on another grown man now. And obviously, especially in coordinator, what can he do? Retaliate? He can't.
He can't.
You know what I'm saying? He got to be the pro about it. But I mean, it didn't have any bearing on the game outside of great theatrics, great entertainment. But Smitty, every time Kansas City wins and the team they lose to say, "Ooh, what?" I know we've been saying this every week, whether it's Denver or Atlanta or Carolina. We had them. We had them, and the play we had to make, we didn't make. Now, Houston left a lot of plays out there, but they're in the game. Like you was in the game.
Yep.
You know, whether wasn't the factor. I don't think the fans or the crowd was the factor. But yeah, man, I was just disappointed because I think that if you are CJ Stroud, you can't just sit back. You gotta make a decision, CJ. You can't just sit back there because I believe we put too much on the words on this phrase or this word, improvise. You do it when you have to do it. You can't do it every single play. But hey, man, if you are the Texans, y'all still are way ahead of schedule, and in a division that's very winnable. By them in 2025. But if you are Kansas City, you are moving on. And I know we're gonna get to the people the team they're gonna play. But shout out to Kansas City for being a true dynasty. Like that's not something you're gonna see. New England had a dynasty. Pittsburgh has a dynasty because of tradition of the team. They didn't have it because the dynasty to me is the team that's in Seattle. To me, had a little mini dynasty with what they were doing at one point. But the creme de la creme of the NFL, the gold standard. Oh, it's in Kansas City. No doubt about it.
Yep. With this win, Patrick Mahomes won his 8th consecutive playoff game, breaking a tie with Troy Aikman, John Elway, Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw for the 3rd longest winning quarterback streak in the postseason. He improved to 7-0 in the divisional round.
Wow.
The most victories without a loss in divisional round history. But anyway, we'll keep going. And the Saturday night game, that was a shocker to some people's eyes. I thought this was going to be a high-scoring game, which it was. But obviously the Commanders were pulled this out 45-31 over the Detroit Lions, the number 1 seed going down. And, Jaden Daniels has proven just some of my takeaways from this game. He might be the best rookie quarterback of all time. Whether they go to the Super Bowl or not, we'll see, obviously, next week. But it just absolutely dynamic. I mean, he was poised throughout the entire game. Nothing fazed him. Against the blitz, it was just absolutely dynamic. No matter what he did, whether it was staying in the pocket or running for the first down, the defense for the Commanders actually picked off Jared Goff 4 times and then picked off Jameson Williams once, which, again, don't know why Ben Johnson called that play. You got when you're down 10 late, you got to keep it in your quarterback's hands. Don't be running a trick play to the wide receiver, but that's just me. Maybe you have a different take on that. But and at the end of the day, the Commanders have not gone to the championship game in 32 straight years. They haven't been to the Super Bowl in 33 years. And so, ironically, Ben, the last time they went to the NFC Championship game, they defeated the Lions before winning the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills. We could see that matchup, Buffalo and Washington. We could see that matchup if things go right next week for those two teams. So anyway, Jaden Daniels, uber impressive in my eyes and just absolutely on fire this season. Best rookie quarterback we've ever seen, in my opinion. And if you're Philadelphia, if you're the Giants, if you're Dallas, this is a problem for a while in this division.
No, Smitty, no. It's not your opinion. That's facts. No. Jaden Daniels is the greatest, right, rookie quarterback we've ever seen. And I know what people are going to say. Wait a minute. There is no wait a minute. Yes, you've had rookie quarterbacks put together incredible seasons, like Cam Newton. Cam Newton had an incredible rookie season, won Rookie of the Year. Vince Young, I was there in 2006 when Vince Young won Rookie of the Year. Started last 8 games of the season, went 8-0. We would end up going 8-8. It's great. None of them did this. Not only is Jaden Daniels making the Commanders relevant He's got the Commanders on the brink of going to the Super Bowl. Hold on, they're on the brink of going. And
he would be the first rookie to go to the Super Bowl as a rookie. First, no quarterback has done that as a rookie.
When we get to think about certain franchises, they've been to the dark ages for a long. Chicago been to the dark ages for a long time, right? And it's not just them. People keep saying, "Hey, man, why is it that people go so crazy over these rookie quarterbacks that can change the dynamic?" Jaden Daniels is by far the exception, right? Because Bo Nix had a good rookie year. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, when you give a guy Jaden Daniels the keys to the Ferrari, you tell him, "Look, we know you gonna speed, right? Just don't get no tickets. Don't get in no wrecks, right?" They're like, "We know you young." And listen. And he says, "Hey, coach, listen. How about you give me the Ferrari at the end of the season? You just give me something nice to drive during the year." Really? Yeah. Because I don't want to be seen driving a Ferrari strictly because I'm Jaden. I want people to see me, give me the Benz, give me the Beamer. I can drive something nice. But here's the thing, though, Smitty, it's how Jaden Daniels does it. Every time, you know what we do? Everybody says this: he's going to hit the rookie wall. That ain't for everybody. He can't keep up this pace. That ain't for everybody. He's keeping it up. And Smitty, you knew at a certain point in the game, you was like, dude, they can't stop Jaden Daniels. Like 16 rushes over, like he had like 50-something yards rushing, 3.2 yards. He's not taking sacks. He's picking up third downs. He's improvising when he has to. And to be quite honest with you, this young man has the best weather in the league. He's in a dome. There are no weather conditions. And I will say this about Detroit. It's not that Detroit isn't trending upward. It's not that Dan Campbell hasn't did an incredible job. But when you play a team like the Commanders with a rookie quarterback, let me tell you what having a rookie quarterback gives you, people that no one wants to talk about. That is your scapegoat. If he has a rookie moment, he's a rookie. If he doesn't play well. But the problem is, Jaden Daniels says, listen, I started off at Arizona State, and when I left Arizona State, people thought, so I'm going over to the LSU because I didn't think Arizona State could boost my resume. What did he do at LSU? He won the freaking Heisman. That's what he did. Went number 2 overall. And now you go back to Hard Knocks. Coach Eberflus kept saying, dude, I know everybody think we got to get Caleb. I like this Daniels kid. They went with Caleb Williams. I'm not saying people say you think Chicago would have been in a similar situation. I don't know. I really, really don't know. But Coach Dan Quinn told this rookie, listen, we're going to help you. We're going to play good defense. We're going to run the football, and you run the show. And for everybody saying, what do you give a rookie quarterback? Which goes back to Bryce Young's of the world. You give him. Stop trying to make these quarterbacks fit these systems that don't fit them. You don't believe me? When and I know we'll get to him. When Lamar Jackson first got to the Baltimore Ravens, they went back to Louisville. They saw what he did well, and they implemented it. They're going to add more to it. Jaden Daniels is box office. Jaden Daniels is 24 years old, so he's an older rookie. He ain't old. He's an older rookie. And Smitty, I don't know, but when I see him, when he scrambles and he's running back to the huddle, he's talking a little trash to the defensive back, saying good job. He's saying the third. Dan Quinn, you are lucky. Dan Quinn went from Matt Ryan, who won the MVP. We ain't gonna talk about the Super Bowl. That's to Jaden Daniels. So you went from a regular season MVP to a rookie that we've never seen anything like him. And I know it started with that. I know it started with that Monday night game. But if you are Detroit, you think about this: your best season in Detroit history. You have home field advantage throughout. They're gonna say, what happened that year? We lost to a rookie. What?
So can I? Okay, hold on. I got 2 questions. Number 1, the Lions, I think, need a modern dual threat quarterback to kind of take their real game to the next level. Because let's be honest, Jared Goff is a better version of Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I saw that somewhere. Someone said that, but that's not my original opinion. But someone said that. So they need a real dual threat quarterback to kind of take them to the next level. That's thought 1. And thought 2 is, how do you think Dallas Cowboy fans are feeling? Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn leaving to be the head coach of the Washington Commanders, and they're on the doorstep to potentially getting to a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback.
Well, if you are Dallas, I mean, you know, the only
he was in your building.
He was in your building, but it's a circus. It is a circus in Dallas. It just is. I mean, whether you're D coordinator, O coordinator, offense, defense, but it's just a lot. It's a lot to fulfill these expectations or these unrealistic expectations from the fans and Jerry Jones, Cowboy Nation, whatever. But Dan Quinn had experience to say, hey, man, I learned so much in Atlanta. I learned so much from Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, right? And Michael Burner Turner. And I learned so much from these dudes. And what I learned is, and when you have a great quarterback, it is not my job to mess him up by this structure that I want him to fit in, this box that I want to fit in. No, Jaden Daniels can play football. Now, usually number 2 overall pick means you went to a really, really bad team. Yeah. Well, they get to training camp and they go, dude, this dude can really play. I mean, we throwing blitzes at him. We throwing different coverages at him. We put them in different situations. And I believe Jaden Daniels says, I am at my best when the situation is at its worst. Give me adversity and watch what I do. You know, win the Heisman means I was the best player in college football. That's what it means. Yep. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily the best player, but if I get voted the best player. So now, and you also mentioned about Detroit, and when it comes to, you mentioned it. The prototypical quarterback now is the mobile quarterback. You no longer want the 6'5", 6'6", 6'5" guy that stands up there like a statue. Why? Because you're going to have to move. You're going to have to move. Who? You don't believe me? What happened to Sam Darnold? He's just standing there. Boom, boom, boom. What happened? Did you talk about Jared Goff? He's either getting hit or he's getting picked off. And I get it, it's one game, but it is the game, though. See, once again, football is just like boxing. It's not how many fights you had, ladies and gentlemen. It's who you fought. If you finally fought somebody and they knocked you out, we're going to question all your previous opponents. Not that they weren't worthy. And like I said, the hardest thing about it is, I go back to Cam Newton rookie year. What did he do first game out from scrimmage? I think he played the Arizona Cardinals, went for over 400. He did game 2 too. He had almost 900 yards passing in 2 weeks. You know, people saying, I didn't think he could throw it like that. But who was he throwing it to? C. Smith saying. So, and I say that to say, when it comes to a Jaden Daniels, it's not like Scary Terry McLaurin. It's not like Scary Terry is the greatest receiver out there. It's not that, guys, Ertz and those guys, they believe in Jaden. This kid can do it. So, hey, man, shout out to the Commander. Shout out to Dan Quinn. Shout out to that team, because they playing for something different. They playing for a city that really wants it. And but something Smitty said that I want to make sure we say. He said in his opinion, no, facts. Jaden Daniels is the greatest rookie quarterback we've ever seen. Argue with your mama, because the proof is in the fact that if you don't think the Philadelphia Eagles, which we're going to talk about in a second, are nervous, because they went 1-1 against the Seahawks. They won 1, lost 1. Oh yeah, because he's already. So we're gonna see when the rubber meets. Jalen Carter, which I'm gonna talk about, didn't play one game they had him. But shout out to them Commanders, man, moving on in the tournament. Incredible.
Yep. And that is who they're going to be playing, is their Philadelphia Eagle division rival of the Philadelphia Eagles. They get the victory 28-22 over the Los Angeles Rams in the Snowfest game. My takeaways is Saquon Barkley does it again. He is the 2024 MVP in my eyes. I even don't think that he's going to win it, but that's just I think he's going to do it. They should give him the MVP. Don't think they're going to do it, but I think he should have it. The weather doomed the Rams, as we saw with the snow. Eagles won the battle up front in the trenches. Jalen Carter, like you're going to go off on, guys like that. Despite the loss, Jared Verse, I thought, played absolutely outstanding. Despite the loss for the Rams, he continued his defensive rookie of the year. I think kind of closed that award out anyway. But Saquon's the first player in NFL history with 200-plus scrimmage yards in a game against the same opponent in both the regular season and the playoff in the same season. He had 302 scrimmage yards against the Rams in Week 12. 302 in Week 12. And then he reached 20 miles per hour on both of his long touchdown runs yesterday, giving him 13 of those this season. More than any other running back, 2 more than any other running back in the playoffs, including the playoffs. I mean, he was dynamic. He was special. And yes, I think the Commanders are nervous, but Jaden Daniels has to play against a healthy Philadelphia Eagle defense. Yes, Quinyon Mitchell, we'll see about him. But otherwise, there ain't some third stringers out there for Philadelphia like there was for the Lions. This is going to be a test for Jaden Daniels defensively against this vaulted Eagles defense in the link. Even though it is a division opponent, they've played each other twice, so I get it. But yes, I think the Commanders know they have a chance. I know the Eagles are going to be very confident because I think they know they have a shot and they beat them once before. And they're like, okay, Rook, this is the playoffs. This is different. We got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. You haven't been there at all. We're going to show you what you're made of here in the championship game. I don't know. We'll see. But I thought Matthew Stafford, just too much of snow, and he just was not able to make enough plays down the stretch defensively. I thought that great drive there at the end to give them a shot, because when the extra point was missed, I said, this game's not over yet. Let's wait. And then, of course, as we know, almost came back. Rams almost pulled it out, but nope, the Eagles did escape, and they will face the Commanders. So, yeah, those are my thoughts from this game.
I think you hit something on the head when you said, I do believe that the weather did save the Eagles. It did. You talk about a team like the Rams. We don't appreciate Matthew Stafford. I know he said he's going to, go and think about his future. Puka Nacua, I'm still trying to understand how he caught that ball on the side. How did he catch that?
That was incredible.
Saquon Barkley is the MVP of the National Football League. When you look at what the MVP means, hey man, what do I mean to my team, and what do I mean to the league? What do I mean to the position? What do I mean to the viewing public? Everything. Arrogance will get you beat more than schemes will every time. You mean to tell me a guy that had over 300 yards from scrimmage in the regular season, you're not gonna? I mean, and I get it. It's when you to stop Saquon Barkley is extremely difficult. 205 yards rushing. What can't this young man do? I mean, certain people were built. Listen, Michael Jordan was built to play basketball. Right? LeBron James was built to play basketball. Nolan Ryan was built to throw a baseball. Barry Bonds was built to hit a baseball. Saquon Barkley was built to play running back. He's moving at a different speed. He's playing at a different level. And, this is how good he is. Philadelphia, it don't even look like they even making an attempt to throw the football. Like, they're barely doing it. And Jalen Hurts, he had a big run for a touchdown, and obviously Saquon scored 2 times. This game ended up being very, very, very entertaining, man. It went down to the wire. And I kept saying this time last week on the show, I said, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Philly won the game, but I also wouldn't be surprised because Matthew Stafford is the X factor. Cooper Kupp is not having the year we've used to seeing him having. Puka Nacua and those guys, they out there making it. They out there making it. DeMarcus Robinson had a catch that was a pick, and he said, give me that. He literally took the ball from him. But this is about one guy. This is about Jalen Carter. Look, Jalen Carter is a man-child. Jordan Davis, I know you got an almost full Georgia defensive line. You got Jalen Carter, you got Jordan Davis, you got Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean. Man, I'm praying for you, man. I know you out for the rest of this, the playoffs and the Super Bowl if you guys make it to the Super Bowl. But the way in which Jalen Carter just dominated, he was getting double and triple about the whole game. And when you needed it, just like I said with Travis Kelce, sack, game over. What sack? Because Jalen Carter, he's a first-team All-Pro, and yes, the best defensive tackle in football plays for Kansas City. His name is Chris Jones, to me. The second best, if he is second, is Jalen Carter. It's the way in which you can't run at him, can't run away from him, can't pass protect against him, can't double team him, he only had 2 sacks, but he was extremely disruptive all game long. But I just give Nick Sirianni a lot of credit. Let me tell you why. when you are the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, you have a lot of people to answer to. The fan base, the organization, the owner, the players. A.J. Brown is the best skilled player not named Saquon Barkley for the Philadelphia Eagles. He had 1 catch last week. He had 2 yesterday. He had 1 catch for 10 yards. Last week, he had 2 catches for 14. In 2 weeks, he had 3 catches for 24 yards, and they're moving on. Let me tell you what I appreciate about that when it comes to A.J. Brown. I believe A.J. Brown is proven to his teammates, maybe even to himself. I just want to do what's best for the team to win. I know, because we get so caught up in the numbers and significance and importance to a team. Do what the team needs you to do to get that dub. Because remember, we kept saying this, Smitty. If they don't win the Super Bowl, 2 things would have not happened. One, you didn't win the Super Bowl. Number 2, Saquon Barkley could have broke the regular season record for most rushing yards in the season, and you didn't let him play week 17. So I'm saying week 17 or week 18, however you look at it, because you had a bye week. But I was still impressed with the Rams. The rookie defensive end for the Rams, talking trash all week. He did his thing. Now, chasing Saquon Barkley all the way to the end zone, that's not good for your health. You're not going to catch. And Javon is fast, but he ain't that fast. But to say what he said as a rookie and back it up. To say what he said as a rookie and he backed it up. Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in football. Sean McVay has gone to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, lost 1. I don't know what's going to happen with Matthew Stafford. But I am very impressed with what they was able to do. I'm going to keep saying what you just said, Smitty. The weather, it helped. It saved the Eagles. Because I'm telling you, you do not give Matthew Stafford any breathing room. So, but shout out to them Eagles. Shout out to Darius Slay, man. Coastal Georgia boy, Brunswick, Georgia. Shout out to him, man. Still making plays. Yep. And super duper proud of him. Going back to the NFC, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Florida boy. You know how that go. And I want to say the GM of the Eagles went to Florida. I think he's a Florida guy too, if I'm not mistaken. And somebody made a joke. Mike Norvell, the head coach of Florida State, was at the game. They said he wanted to see what winning football looked like because he went 12-0, then he went 2-12 or 2-10. So anyway, but shout out to the Eagles though. Shout out to them boys. Shout out to them birds.
Yeah. And then we end in Buffalo, where the Baltimore Ravens fell to the Buffalo Bills 27-25 on a day where turnovers were the difference, just like the Commanders-Lions game. I thought that was the difference in this game. Turnovers. Jared Goff threw those interceptions, and Jaden Daniels had 0 turnovers. Lamar Jackson had 2 interceptions and a fumble lost, and Buffalo had 0 turnovers. I did think the Buffalo game plan by Joe Brady, former Panthers OC, by the way, was a little conservative at times and very not as Josh Allen reliant as I would like to see. So that is something to watch against the Chiefs. But the Ravens essentially are going to struggle to live this one down, I think. I mean, Mark Andrews' brutal 2-point conversion drop. Lamar Jackson, we talked about the turnovers already, sets up another chapter in the tremendous Chiefs-Bills rivalry. But in Josh Allen's 7 playoff games, he has 7 rushing touchdowns in 12 playoff games, 2 on Sunday against the Ravens, 2. Second all-time rushing quarterback in touchdowns in the postseason with Tom Brady, who did it in 48 games. Steve Young leads the way, though, doing it in 22 postseason games. Just a little stat there for you. But I thought it was just this simple. Lamar turned the ball over, and Josh did not. And that was the difference in the game. This game could have – personally, I thought the Ravens outplayed the Bills in the second half. Derrick Henry was running over people and doing what he does best. But those 2 turnovers early, they scored on both of them, and that came back to haunt the Ravens late. And they didn't have enough firepower at the end. So I think the Bills can and will beat the Chiefs. We'll do our predictions, but you can already you can get me down. I predicted the Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl. So my 1 half is still there. I think you picked the Eagles, so your 1 half is still there on the other side. So both of us still have a half in our official predictions that we did before the playoffs. So so I think Buffalo is going to have a much better game plan against Kansas City this next week. But at least for yesterday, They won this game because they did not turn over the ball despite getting outplayed in the second half.
Josh Allen had 16. He was 16 for 22, 127 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 10 rushes for 20 yards, 2 touchdowns. Davis had 4 for 29, 1 touchdown. That's 21 points. Well, 18 points. But if you get the
yeah.
When you think about this game, though, I look at turnovers like this. If the turnovers hurt you, I get it. If I was able to overcome the turnovers, if Saquon Barkley isn't the MVP of the league, it's Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna tell you why. That last drive, when they needed it, once again, they needed surgery all the way down. Now, the conditions help the O-line and it hurts D-linemen. And it hurts receivers too and DBs because there is no traction out there. Guys really can't come in and out there, break things of that nature. The touchdown to Isaiah Likely was incredible. This comes down to one play. Now, people can say, what if they go to overtime? We don't know. It's a big what if. We do not know. We knew we had the momentum. That would be the Ravens. Let me tell you. Earlier, I talked about Travis Kelce and applying pressure. Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends of his generation. Mark Andrews has been a first-team All-Pro. Mark Andrews has the most receiving touchdowns in Ravens history. Mark Andrews is a bad man. Mark Andrews made 2 plays in this game that people gonna remember. The one is the fumble. He got punched out. Right, and I get it.
And as a tight end yourself, hindsight 2020, should have just gone north and south instead of east and west.
I'm holding the football. I'm holding the football like I'm cold outside, right? I'm not, but that happens. Here's the thing about the 2-point conversion. When you are a receiver, whenever you let the ball hit your chest or hit your shoulder pad, it's dangerous. And this is why. Conditions, the situation, pressure. The conditions, awful. The situation is about as big as it gets. The pressure got to him. This is why. He is about as sure-handed as it gets. And he's a hands catcher. Whenever hands catchers start catching with their body, they're thinking too much. No, I'm not a psychologist and all that other kind of stuff. But look at the reaction of the Bills players. They're just as shocked that he dropped it than he is that he dropped it. Now, let me tell you what I appreciate about Lamar Jackson. He said, look, man, I'm not finna put this all on Mark. Nobody is, and obviously Coach Harbaugh come out and said nobody's more fierce of a competitor, and I know he's gonna handle it great. Lamar realizes, man, sometimes, man, you'd rather lose by 10 than lose like that. Because you had it. I'm not saying that you go to overtime and win, but Smitty,
because they had like a minute and a half left, so even if they did catch the ball, the Bills still might have gone down and got the field goal.
But what I'm saying is, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, people are going to talk about his playoff record. It's not good. People are going to talk about his lack of postseason success. It's not good. But you can't blame this one on Lamar. As much as
that was my next question, because the multiple ex-NFL players, you got RG3, Chase Daniel Orlovsky, all coming out saying this pretty much the same thing. Like if you blame this loss on Lamar, you don't know ball. I mean,
if you blame it on Lamar, that means you just want him to lose so it can validate your opinions of him when it comes to this game. Lamar Jackson is the reason why they had a chance to win it, or at least tie it up, because I do not care about first halves, because that's the case why we got second half. The second half of football is like the last 2 minutes. You see how the last 2 minutes of football can't no DBs cover no more? Guys coming wide open. It's like, what happened? Right? When it comes to Lamar Jackson, Coach Harbaugh comes out second half. They do the interviews going into the tunnel, coming out the tunnel. He said, look, man. He said, what did you say to Lamar about the turnover? He goes, nothing. Lamar's fine. Like, turnovers, that's over with. Okay, cool. Like, he had some turnovers. But if you want to know how great of a player Lamar Jackson is, just look at that last drive. They had a bunch of third and longs, improvised. And listen, people going to say he threw back across his body. Yeah, but he didn't throw back in the coverage across his body. He rolled to the right and threw back left, but I'm throwing the wide open receivers that's broken free, scramble drills. It was surgical, but let me say this, Josh Allen, congratulations. I believe that you play football the right way because two things you did. You didn't care about the stats. You wanted to get the dub. As soon as the game was over, you ran straight to Lamar Jackson and said, boy, and you said, man, he said, I respect Lamar Jackson because he's been great ever since every time he suit up. I appreciate it. And listen, to the Buffalo Bills defense, some of my people saying what y'all can do. Start with the narrative. Y'all in the NFL, man. Like, you don't need nothing extra. But shout out to Von Miller. It was a blast from the past watching Von Miller pick up fumbles and run down the field and the third. But hey, Buffalo, you're gonna have to do the unthinkable. You're gonna have to beat the beast twice. We will see.
Yeah. Before we make our predictions and then go into the rest of our time, I think I think we wanted to get into the coaching searches and some searches that are now final. Let's do our players of the week and not so players of the week from this divisional round edition. I'll go ahead and start. Mine is pretty simple. I've got two. Saquon Barkley is my number 1A, and then my number 1B. Excuse me. My number 1B. And I could have gone with a few different players on this, but I got Jaden Daniels. They were both absolutely surgical. One's a rookie, one's a veteran, but they played essentially really well for both of their respective teams and were able to give both their teams a huge victory, obviously, for both teams, advancing to play each other in the NFC Championship game. And then my not-so-player and players of the week is going to be the Houston Texans special teams, just not good, especially at the beginning of the game. Kai Fairbairn missed multiple field goals, missed the extra point. Guy had a tough game there in Kansas City. And then on Sunday, my other kind of not so player of the week from the Sunday edition it's just the Los Angeles Rams from a standpoint of just handling the snow. I just thought a bunch of things. Kyron Williams, multiple fumbles. Stafford, just couldn't get off the ground a couple times late in the game with those sacks. But the snow in Philadelphia, like you said, saved the Eagles because the Rams just could not handle the snow. And I get it. They're LA boys traveling east, for a big snowstorm. But you got to play in the conditions that are dealt. And so those are my players and not so players of the week.
My player of the week is Jalen Carter, because I think sometimes we expect Saquon to be Saquon. He's an MVP front runner. If he wasn't, he need to be back in the top of that list. And obviously you mentioned Jaden Daniels or whatever. That's an easy one. My not players of the week. Jared Goff. Look, you got to take care of the football. You just got to, and you didn't. I get it. You're trying to force some throws. I get it, but sometimes that stuff come back to haunt you. You're doing a little bit too much. The group that I want to talk about, though, is the refs for the Chiefs. Really?
So do you think that, and you can go into this, do you think that they should make all plays on the quarterback reviewable? Like hits involving the quarterback? When you're doing the roughing the passer, yes. I think they because it's so tic-tac, right? It's so tic-tac. Because now I get it. And people say, who really implemented these rules for the quarterback? I say, well, remember when Peyton Manning missed a full year because he had nerve damage in his neck? That's when they implemented the rule. Can't hit him high. Remember when they won Tom Brady, got hit and he missed the whole season with a torn ACL? Now you can't hit him low. And I get it. The quarterbacks are the reason why we watch. They run the league, whether that's college, NFL, high school, middle school, no school. I get it. But some of this stuff ain't roughing the passer, though. Just because Patrick Mahomes on the ground, look at the ref pointing. Hey, sorry, Patrick. No, they're gonna get hit sometimes, and sometimes they're gonna get hit real hard. I guess It's like the predator protecting the prey a little bit, if you will. Like, I mean, what are you supposed to do as if you're the defense? You know, you're the predator, the quarterback's the prey.
Remember your team, Carolina? Remember you had your quarterback Cam Newton? Did he get those calls?
No,
They used to hit Cam. They used to die. They had to take their whole body and just miss.
I know a lot of people are Panther fans watching this game or listening to this podcast. Go back and watch the 2016 season opener between the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers, coming off the Super Bowl loss.
I don't know what game it was. No, watch the Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Is that Atlanta? And Cam is sliding, and the guy just died. Cam got hit so hard that Cam kind of looked up at the. He didn't look up at point. He looked like, dude, and just fell back down. Like, what are we doing? Listen, if you're gonna protect quarterbacks, protect them all. Don't show favoritism. I know the golden boy is Patrick Mahomes. I get it. But ask Michael Vick how he feel about that. Because Michael Vick used to get dethroned too. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Do it for all of them.
Do you think?
In the moment. I have a moment.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Mark Andrews. It happens, man. Let me tell you something. You one of the best to ever do it. Do not let this moment define you. Don't listen. Don't listen to the critics or the naysayers. They don't like you whether you call it or not. You are not defined by a moment, but let that moment be something that you use for fuel, man. Because I know what it's like when everybody watches your biggest mistake on TV. It's one thing when you make one, but everybody can see it. It's like time stands still. And I know you didn't make yourself available for the media after the game, and I understand that. But make sure you talk to the media. They're not here to badger you. They just want to get your temperature. You only got to do it one time and you move on. You just move on.
Yeah. Do you think, side note, do you think people are going to talk about, I know we're about to go into the coaching search here after we make our prediction. Do you think people are going to start talking about John Harbaugh and he's the best coach for the Ravens going forward and Lamar?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To people that don't know football, yeah, of course. Because people seem to think that what Harbaugh is doing is easy. Ask Cleveland, is it easy? Ask Atlanta, is it easy? Ask Arizona, is it easy? Ask Dallas, is it easy? Right? Ask New York, is it easy? Both the Giants and the Jets, right? See, people, it's easy to talk about the ones that's losing to the ones moving on. I'm in the tournament losing. I want to move on, right? I want to move on. But it's easy to say, well, Harbaugh ain't that good of a coach. Harbaugh has a Super Bowl. Case closed. How many head coaches got Super Bowls active? Ain't many. Because it's that rare. And he did it with Joe Flacco. Oh, people are going to say, but he had Ray Lewis. Who was the MVP? Joe Flacco. Okay, so I'm just saying the expectations is through the roof, but if you want to look at longevity, Andy Reid, how long you been in the NFL? Sean McVay, how long has he been with the Rams? Okay, Nick Sirianni took over a culture that was built by Doug Peterson. That's what he took over, right? Okay, so what I'm saying is when you start talking about what makes a team good, it starts with the head coach because the head coach sets the vision. The culture is then built in the locker room, and you see it on Sundays. So if you want to get rid of Harbaugh, here's the question, Smitty. Who do you replace him with? You can get rid of him. Who are you going to replace him with? That's the hard.
It reminds me of a former CEO of the Raiders, Amy Trask, who always likes to say, okay, you want to fire that coach, fire him or her? Sure, go ahead and do that. But then my question is afterwards, and do what? And like that's what she always likes to say. Right. So that's essentially what you're saying. Like, you're going to fire him? Cool, fire him.
It's like what is our contingency plan? Oh, we're gonna no. There is no contingency plan because sometimes a coach does more than just X and O's, man. It's how he keeps those players together. It's how he helps coach and develop those players, develop a culture. Yes, they lost. Who they lost to? Buffalo. Stop playing, man. Who? Buffalo. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Now when Pittsburgh lost to Cleveland, I get that part. So, yeah, remember the Raiders lost to the Ravens. The Raiders beat the Ravens beginning of the season. Yeah, who won that division? The Ravens.
Yeah.
Who did the Ravens beat up in like a 2 or 3 week span? Like they beat Pittsburgh, came back and beat the brakes off them again. They lost to Buffalo because Mark Andrews dropped a 2-point conversion. You see, and that's the thing, Smith, I don't like. We're gonna say they lost. How did they lose? Because how you lost adds context to that you lost at all. But we don't do context. You know, we just say Bryce Young and them, they lost to the Chiefs. but when you broke down the game, had a chance to win it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, get rid of Harbaugh if you want to. All right. Then people in Baltimore are going to go crazy. They ain't going to do that, though.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our predictions for the championship game before we close it out with our coaching carousel and some analysis and just get into the coaching searches a little bit more. So I'll go ahead and we'll start in the NFC 3 o'clock next Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Washington Commanders. Give me the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, second time in 3 years. I think Jaden Daniels' ride ends here. I think it's been a good ride. I think it's going to end here in Philadelphia. Both teams know each other well. That said, I would not be surprised if the Commanders found a way because they are familiar with them, and Jaden Hurts may not be 100%, as we saw with his leg last week. And then Quinyon Mitchell might be out for the Eagles as well. So wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders won this game. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is obviously doing what no other rookie quarterback has done before. And if he wins, this would be the first time a rookie quarterback has represented in the Super Bowl ever. But I think it will come to a screeching halt. I think the Philadelphia Eagles take down the Washington Commanders by a final score of 27-20. I think it will be a lower scoring game, but 27-20, give me the Eagles over the Commanders. And then I think the Bills, I already said it, Bills are going to take down the Chiefs at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, AFC Championship game in Kansas City. The king will be dethroned, pun intended there, as Josh Allen and the company will take down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They will win it on a final touchdown pass by Josh Allen where they have to have it. They're down and they're by, we'll say they're down by 4. So you can't kick a field goal. They got to get a touchdown. And Josh is going to deliver it to him when they need it most. Not a revenge of the 13-second game a few years back, but something to that effect. It'll be longer than 13 seconds left, but something to that effect. So give me a final score. Let's see if I can do my math right based on that, based on that analysis there. Give me a final score of 26-23 Buffalo over the Kansas City Chiefs to set up a Buffalo-Philadelphia Super Bowl in NOLA on February the 9th.
Jaden Daniels is an anomaly. Jaden Daniels is like something we've never seen. And I don't think it ends. I know people thinking I'm a pick Philly, right? I know I had to go back and reevaluate things for a second. When I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, I see a really, really good team top to bottom, but they got some big flaws. What is their biggest flaw? The passing game. They're not even trying to establish it because I got Saquon Barkley, and I get it. I got Jaden Daniels, who will use his feet. I get it. I got Jalen Carter on defense. I got Jordan Davis on defense. I got Nolan Smith. I got Bond, right? I got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and the list goes on Darius Slay. Jaden Daniels is saying, look, man, adversity is how I was birthed. I do my best work when the situation calls for it. And what's scary about this game is they still playing with house money. I'm a rookie, right? They know me and I know them. Doug Williams was the first, African-American quarterback to win Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. Well, this year when he walked into the facility, they had on his jerseys. The whole team had his jerseys on. All black, number 17. Jaden Daniels appreciates the past because he knows he is reshaping the present with his presence, with his level of play. I'm calling for the upset, though. I'm saying Jaden Daniels and Washington do the unthinkable. Because here's the thing, Smitty, we got to be able to usher in something new. Remember how people saying, why do you start rookie first-round quarterbacks? Because I think they can take us all the way. Not take us out of the dark ages, but we've never seen nobody take them all the way. We got to break that. And I think Jaden Daniels is the guy built for it, made for it, will do it. Give me Philadelphia. It's going to be a good game now. But it's something about being able to score in the passing game that Washington can do and Philly can't do unless they stiff arm DBs all the way to the end zone. Give me 28-25 Washington. And this is why. history and all these type of things, these simulators or whatever, Buffalo versus the Washington or whatever. I want to see the mastery of Jaden Daniels continue to move on. I got the Commanders. Now, this is why I'm picking Buffalo. It's not because they already beat them. I want to say I seen Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes doing an interview together. I don't know if it was at the Pro Bowl. I don't know where they was at. They asked Patrick Mahomes, what is Josh Allen's biggest fear? He says Josh Allen's biggest fear is a coin toss. He said that. Now, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's catchy. That's charismatic. I don't know if they had already gone over that before the show. I don't know if it was a spur of the moment. But Smitty, you've played sports. You a competitor. As a competitor, you don't like that. You go, huh? And obviously, we on TV. I got to be professional. I got to put on a professional face. Josh Allen is saying two things. I respect Patrick Mahomes, but I don't like this dude. Because if he keeps winning, they're gonna keep saying, I am Charles Barkley with Michael Jordan. I'm Karl Malone against Michael Jordan. I'm good enough to get there, but I can't beat him. Well, I think that stops now. Because you know what? You see the way Josh Allen numbers look real pedestrian against Baltimore and they won the game? Well, that's how Patrick Mahomes' numbers looked against Houston and they won. So for me, Josh Allen said, I'm finna out Patrick Mahomes at being Patrick Mahomes, except my name is Josh Allen. I think Buffalo, top to bottom, is built to beat them. Weather can't be a situation because the conditions of Buffalo are way uglier than they are in Kansas City. And they both, give me Buffalo. I'm going to go Buffalo 25. No, Buffalo 27. Kansas City 24. And it's going to be a nail biter. But I just think listen, no greater time than this, Smitty. If it's because Kansas City is that they ain't going to go away. You got to make them go away. They ain't going to go away. They're saying surprise. Great season. You get a chance to be an MVP candidate. I've already done that, Josh. Josh, you in the AFC Championship? Yeah. Oh, but you got to come through me. I'm not saying, once again, I'm going to say this is the Kansas City motto for me. No one said we can't be beat. You just got to beat us. Well,
there's your chance.
Sean McDermott. Let's see what happens. I know the Buffalo fan base is going to be, if they let them get tickets, they'll buy the whole stadium if you let them. They ain't going to let them do that. But give me Josh Allen and the company, moving on to the Super Duper Bowl. And why is New Orleans important? I think Jaden Daniels, man, I think he's been to New Orleans a time or two in his life, man. So give me them Commanders versus them Bills, the rookie versus the vet, Super Duper Bowl.
I was going to say, Jaden Daniels will feel right at home if they get there to the Super Duper Bowl, as you said. Going to do a few transactions that have to do with the games coming up. And a few quick non-head coaching transactions, and then we'll go into the coaching carousel for the last 10, 15 minutes or so. Colts hiring former Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo as their new defensive coordinator as the Colts moved on from Gus Bradley earlier this offseason. Lamar believes that it's inevitable that he is going to win a Super Bowl eventually in his career. The Ravens backed him up on that. Dan Campbell says Super Bowl window still absolutely wide open for the Detroit Lions. Saquon Barkley said he's chasing greatness with his 205-yard rushing game. As you mentioned earlier, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford said he'll take time to think on the future. And then finally, the Commanders lost their right guard, Sam Cosmi, to a torn ACL, so they will not have him for the rest of the season, whether that's 2 more games or just this next game on Sunday. And then another defensive coordinator hire is Falcons hire former interim coach for the Jets, Jeff Ulbrich, as their new defensive coordinator, replacing Jimmy Lake, who was out in Atlanta, which I know you probably know all about that, and I want to give you time to comment on that too.
Well, I mean, as far as like changing defensive coordinator for the Falcons, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's going to be the scapegoat. You knew it was going to be that because when you had Bates, you had Simmons. I mean, you had all these guys that you brought in. They wasn't able to get it done. AJ Terrell and company. And who sealed your fate was the guy that was sealing face all year. That would be Bryce Young. Bryce Young got defensive coordinator fired. He got a head coach fired. He got a quarterback that decided he wanted to leave. Right? Bryce Young he's a virus, and if you get that Bryce Young. Ain't no cure for that. You got to get up wherever you at. The Bryce Young is a virus. You know what I'm saying? Dan Campbell talk about the window being open. It is, though. It's not wide open. The reason why I say it's not wide open is because people around you are getting better. You had 3 teams from your division make the playoffs. So it's not wide open, but it is open. But the culture is changed. So that's why I know it is open. It's not wide open. Lamar Jackson going to win the Super Duper Bowl. That's not rocket science. Inevitability does happen, but time is not on his side because the core group of this team can't stay together, right? Guys are getting older. Guys are getting worn down, right? Derrick Henry is not going to be there for the next 3 or 4 seasons, right? But Lamar Jackson will win a Super Duper Bowl. Saquon Barkley chasing greatness, sir. You are great. And I get you got to say the right things. Chasing you are chasing greatness. No, you're chasing it because they didn't let you play in the last game of the season, and that pissed you off. It should. Pisses me off. Sirianni, come on, man. Y'all, these coaches are too courteous and they too nice and professional with each other. We're not Coach DeBoer, we're not gonna have him break the record against you guys, even though you guys told him last offseason you don't want his services. I would have been like, send him out there. At least 2 quarters. And as you can see, he only need 3 or 4 plays. He can break it. He can take it 70 and 80. He broke the record. What else? You had a lot of things going on.
The last one was Colts hired former defensive coordinator for the Bengals, Lou Anarumo, as their new defensive coordinator, replacing Gus Bradley, who was out after 3 years in Indianapolis.
I mean, the fact that the Colts are trying to use Gus Bradley as a scapegoat is really, really funny to me. Oh, so you're getting rid of your D coordinator, not your O coordinator. Right, because the defense was the problem. No, the offense was a problem with the Colts all year. Because you couldn't find which quarterback is going to – different quarterback, Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson. I don't like when they try to say, well, let's look like we're trying to get better by getting rid of somebody.
Well, and you mentioned that for the Falcons. I think the Bengals kind of had to do that. They kind of had to find
a that's different. The Falcons, look, they had, yes, the D coordinator did all he could to get fired, and he won. Your methodology, it worked. When Bryce Young threw the touchdown and he did the pose, when he did the spin, to me, I don't like it because it's the Falcons, but I like it because he did it. Man, let me show y'all, man. It's so freaking pretty. That's why I hate slow motion. Because when they did the slow mo, I'm like, what is he doing? I'm like, oh, did he just pose on us? Oh, my God. After that, the D coordinator, when he saw that, his wife showed him that. His wife said, that when he threw the touchdown pass to the tight end, he posed on y'all. No, he didn't. Look, it's right here. It went viral. Oh, my God. Okay, well, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the last part of the podcast now with the coaching hires and a carousel. So I want to touch on the D coordinator first. So we got those out of the way. Mike Vrabel over in New England. We touched on that last week. Obviously, he's going to be hiring his staff. Not much to say there, as we kind of already touched on him last week. Mike Vrabel in New England. The big one today that the shoe just dropped is Ben Johnson leaving Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions for a division rival in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears, with a home run hire in some people's eyes to hire offensive coordinator Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions. Rumored that former Saints coach who Bryce Young got fired, Dennis Allen, will be joining him as the defensive coordinator in Chicago. So that deal looks like it's going to be completed as well. And so that's the breaking news today from a head coaching standpoint in Chicago. And then I'll go ahead and I'll finish my kind of long-winded thoughts on the rest of the coaching hires and kind of give you the floor too. Jets, I think, are going to get Aaron Glenn. That's my gut there. I think after turning things around there, I think Aaron Glenn, it sounds like, prefers the Jets or the Saints, but I think the Jets are his first choice. So I think that's where Aaron Glenn goes, and Detroit will lose both coordinators. Saints, I don't know where to go with this one. I think it's either going to be someone like Joe Brady from Buffalo or Aaron Glenn. I'm not sure exactly where the Saints go. Their roster needs a lot of help, and they're aging a lot of players really fast. Salary cap situation really sucks. Quarterback, we don't know. Obviously, with the Raiders, Ben Johnson was going to be the pick, but now that he's officially picked Chicago, could we see someone like a Liam Cohen from Tampa Bay go ahead over there? Could we see someone like a Brian Flores come out there from from Minnesota. A lot of candidates to consider for the Raiders. Jacksonville, I think they're going to go defense. Robert Saleh could be a name to watch for Jacksonville. The 49ers have already said that they're going to make him the highest D coordinator in the NFL to come back to the Bay. But I think Jacksonville just might try to get him to be their new head coach there down in Duval. And I think that's the 6, if I'm not mistaken. If I missed one, I don't think I did. And then I forgot to mention this in the transactional news. Tennessee Titans hired Mike Benghazi, the number 2 man in Kansas City, as the new general manager over there in Nashville. I know you have a history been with the Titans, so you can also comment on that if you want as well. And there's some other GM openings, which we can get to later on in another episode when those obviously do get filled. So those are my latest kind of thoughts on the coaching hires, but specifically Ben Johnson to the Bears. Dennis Allen sounds like going to be the D coordinator there as well. What are your thoughts on that hire? And then you can comment on, the Titans' new GM and some of the other jobs if you want to as well.
I hope the Ben Johnson is a home run hire. I think the only reason why it won't be a home run hire because I don't know how bad the culture is in Chicago. I know everybody still wants to. I think he could definitely. He looks at the guy. When you look at Williams and what he's able to do, Caleb Williams and what he's able to do, I think if you get the right head coach with the right coordinator, the right scheme, I think he can flourish. I think that Joe Brady is going to go to the Jags. I do think the Jags is a very, very attractive place. I think that, Trent Baalke, you got to work with him, which I'm still trying to figure out how he still has a job, not calling for anybody's job, but I think that he can turn things around with the Jags. I do think Liam Cohen will go with the Raiders. I think Liam Cohen is a guy that has some level of familiarity with a guy like Tom Brady. They say Tom Brady's going to be kind of like in the decision-making process with that, and we'll see how that goes. I think Aaron Glenn does go with the Jets. I think he's built for it. I think Aaron Glenn has learned a lot from a guy like Dan Campbell that's saying, hey, man, are you able to take something that has been blown up and put it back together? Are you a builder? And I think Aaron Glenn is a builder. I think the Cowboys, as much as everybody want to talk about Deion Sanders, I think it's going to be Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore is going to end up being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now,
thank you. That's the one I missed. I'm like, who was I missing? Yes, Kellen Moore is my guess for the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Deion Sanders talk is cool.
And the Saints, I think it's going to be Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores has learned a lot from his time in Miami and with a guy like Tua Tagovailoa, just learning from his mistakes. I understand that just because you come under that Bill Belichick coaching tree, you don't have to coach like that. That style of coaching doesn't work for everybody and doesn't work with everybody. So I think him going to the Saints now, the question is who's going to be the quarterback. I know you got Spencer Rattler. I know that Derek Carr might be trying to renegotiate a contract. But I think it's a division that's still wide open because you got the Saints. You got the Bucks, you got the Panthers, you got the Falcons. But I think Brian Flores to the Saints, Joe Brady to the Jags, Liam Cohen to the Raiders, Aaron Glenn to the Jets, Kellen Moore to the Cowboys, and obviously the big hire Ben Johnson going to the Chicago Bears, bringing over Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, former Saints head coach, bring him over as the defensive coordinator. As far as like the new GM for the Titans, I wish them the best. I have no quarrels about him coming over from Kansas City. I understand that. That building up that type of culture, whatever. This isn't Kansas City, and I think the thing is, I don't like when you take something that won over here and think it's gonna just be implemented in somewhere else. Do you have Patrick Mahomes? Nope. Do you have Andy Reid? Nope. Do you got Travis Kelce? Nope. Do you got Chris Johnson? Now you got Jeffrey Simmons. So you got 1A, 1B in that situation. If they're gonna listen, Chad Brinker, the head of football operations, he picked them. They said they're going to practice patience, not panic. Well, that must have started in 2025. So if they're going to give you patience, sir, have at it. Here's the problem with the Titans. Do you keep the number 1 overall pick? Do you get Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders? I like Shadur. I can see if y'all went with Cam. We will see what happens with that pick. But I'm wishing them the best.
Yep. I can't believe I forgot Dallas. Thank you on that. I'm like, I knew I forgot one. Yeah. So, I think the Deion Sanders talk has cooled in Dallas. I think that was a cool story, but I
think that's a smoke and mirrors because they don't want nobody to really come at Kellen Moore. So
yeah, I think it's going to be Kellen Moore in Dallas. I totally agree with you there. And if Baker loses another OC with Liam Cohen potentially leaving, that's going to be yet another playbook.
That's the kind of stuff they do. And that's the fact that Baker Mayfield has had as many OCs as he's had from Cleveland. No, you talking about Cleveland. Then you talking about Carolina. Then you talk about the Rams. Now you Buffalo. Listen, you need stability at the quarterback position, at the head coach position, at the coordinator position, right? And you need to build a culture through the team. And that's that building the locker room. Best teams have all those things. The best teams.
Yeah, and then a team that I want to hit on really quick with being, they're not obviously in the playoffs and they're not searching for a head coach, but they are searching for a defensive coordinator. The San Francisco 49ers. If Robert Saleh does not get one of these head coaching jobs, and it sounds like he'll head back to San Francisco to be the defensive coordinator under Kyle Shanahan once again. This is a team that people I think are just going to assume next year they're going to win the division again after a year off, high draft pick at number 11 overall. But, the Rams, even if they don't have Stafford, still have that young defense. The Arizona Cardinals are still up and coming. Seattle Seahawks are underrated every year. The Niners, this is a very critical offseason for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, you've got a bunch of players under contract, making a high penny. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel.
And Brock Purdy has not got his new deal yet, by the way.
Brock Purdy will be getting his new deal this summer, most likely. Question is going to be whether does it start with a 4 or does it start with a 5? Something along those lines. You've got, outside of Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, you've got guys on defense that like Trey Greenwald, probably not coming back. Travaris Ward, probably not coming back. Talonga Hufunga, the safety, hopefully the Panthers can pick him up, not coming back. A lot of turnover for the San Francisco 49ers team, who made the Super Bowl last year and had made it a few years back again with Jimmy Garoppolo. And Kyle Shanahan just keeps making better players. He can make running backs for days. He has, he can win with Sam Darnold. He can win with Brock Purdy. He can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. But at some point, like kind of like you were saying with Lamar Jackson, like this 49ers team with this core of players, they're either going to break through or this is going to be remembered as one of the best cores in franchise history or even across the NFL that never won a Super Bowl. They got to multiple Super Bowls, never won a Super Bowl. And so I just wanted to hit on them really quick before we close the show. I mean, like I said, McCaffrey's going to be 29 before the season starts next year. Purdy's going to get his new deal. Like you said, Deebo is costing a lot of money, not a lot of production. Ayuk coming off the ACL, and then we mentioned the defensive potential losses. This is a big offseason for this Niners squad, who fired their defense coordinator 2 years in a row. My boy Steve Wilks from the Panthers. They ousted him, and then replacement Daniel Sorensen lasted a full year and said, nope, we're going to try again. So this is big offseason ahead for the Niners.
If Robert Steele doesn't go to the 49ers, they're going to be scratching their head because they've already put out that they're going to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator. I think that when he got offered the opportunity to go to the Jets, it wasn't the same as DeMeco Ryans going to the Texans, because the Jets aren't in the same situation as a Houston Texans team that has a very winnable division. The Jets can't beat the Bills. The Jets can't beat the Dolphins. The Jets be scratching and clawing to even beat New England. So I think for Robert Saleh, I do see him taking it, because I don't think he wants to jump back into the head coach position just because somebody's offering. He knows, let me go back and kind of prove myself again and wait on an idea. Kind of like the Ben Johnson in Chicago. I want the team that I want to want me. That's how these coaches really be looking at it. So, and I do agree though. I do owe John Lynch an apology, because he had no head coach experience. He came straight from the booth, right? He came straight from the booth. And then he went and he got he was a GM, and he did a good job. Not a great job, but he did a good job. So for me, I'm just looking for, Robert Saleh to go back out to the 49ers, and they're going to go all in, because this window is closing. And the window always closes for two reasons. The players move on and the head coach get fired. That's why you got to start from scratch again. So Kyle Shanahan, you know who Kyle Shanahan was supposed to be? Sean McVay. He's supposed to have won one. Well, who did he lose to? Uh-oh. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when you start talking about this 49ers team, yes, you had to play the same team twice. Well, guess who else played the same team twice in the Super Bowl and won both of them? That would be New England versus Eli Manning and the Giants, and Eli got both of his against the GOAT. So I don't want to hear it's unfair. It's football. Get with it or get lost. And right now, the 49ers not only didn't win the division, a team that wasn't even expected to even be bottom feeders, not only won that division, but won a playoff game. So I think it's gonna. I think this 49 team. I do agree. This their window because you got Bosa. You know what I'm saying? You got Fred Warner. You got Debo, Ricky Pearsall, Ayuk. C-Mac, Trent Williams. You got George Kittle. Now, Javarius Ward, I think he's gone. Because he done dealt with so much tragedy with his daughter and everything. But Greenlaw, you got too many players, man. They underachieving. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers are the LA Chargers of the NFC. All this talent, but you can't win. You know what I'm saying? And the NFC is only getting better. Nobody saw Detroit being this good this early. Nobody saw the Commanders being as good this early. You know the Eagles going to be good. Dallas going to be coming. Detroit is good. Minnesota's good. You know what I'm saying? Green Bay is good. So when you're looking around and the Rams won your division, Arizona make plays. Seattle just fell off a cliff. It might be hard just win their division at this point. No pun intended. We'll see.
Yeah, and you will see, a new special teams coordinator as well in San Francisco. They fired their special teams coordinator as well after such a poor effort this year. But go back and listen to our interview with Mike Silver earlier in the season. He covers the NFL for The Athletic. He was out in San Francisco for a long time. He knows that team better than just about anybody else. And he essentially insinuated what you said, Ben, is that this is going to be maybe the last window for this team of this offseason, very critical offseason here at coming up, and a lot of the big decisions to be made. I don't know if you saw this. This is about an hour ago's news. Your Titans also did a hire. They hired John Bones Fossil to be their special teams coordinator under Brian Callahan. Did you see that news?
Yeah, I did. They're trying to make a splash. We'll listen. I try my best not to get too high and too low when it comes to these Titans new hirings, because the firings be so devastating. But we'll see if he can actually make an impact with that special teams, because when it comes to the Titans, I don't know what a spark is. The defense has moments. The offense is very, pedestrian, very, very like middle of the road. We'll see if the special teams coordinator can actually provide a spark in an AFC South that right now is anybody's, but the Houston Texans seem to have a stronghold on.
Yeah. Well, shout out to, as a Panthers fan, shout out to the former Panthers who decided to end both 2 out of the 4 games, respectively, this weekend. You had Rasul Douglas with the onside kick recovery last night, former Panther for the Buffalo Bills. And then you had Jeremy Chin in the Commanders game with the game-ending interception on Jared Goff. And so a lot of former Panthers out there heading to both NFC and AFC championship games, respectively. So shout out to those guys, Frank Louvu, Jeremy Chin, Curtis Samuel, Rasul Douglas, Joe Brady, former coach, Sean McDermott, former coach. And obviously there's other ones out there, but I just wanted to get that off my chest and congratulate those guys. And obviously, even though it's not in Carolina, they've got some good a couple of those guys have a good opportunity. We'll see if one of the teams can advance to a Super Bowl on their behalf. Well, and as we all know, just keep liking, rate, subscribing. Give us those comments where you want to have us discuss winning division episode number 23. Remember, you were either winning the division or you were just in the division. Myself, Ryan Smith, alongside Ben Troupe. This has been episode number 23 of winning the division. Ben, any last words before I kind of close this out here?
Listen, I appreciate these 23 episodes. We're gonna be around for a long time. I'm looking forward to saying, show 323. But listen, I enjoy coming on with you every week, Smitty. I enjoy just these conversations, learning a lot about, just the temperament of this game, the players in this game. I like how we always give shout outs to the Florida Gators, Atlanta Falcons, current Panthers, former Panthers. Hey man, that's what we do, man. But yeah, man, keep listening. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. But do us a favor. Make sure you keep listening. Hit that notification button, man. That way, every time an episode comes out, it's coming right to you. Because like I say, you either in the division or you win the division. Well, guess what? Me and Smitty, we can't lose, baby. We undefeated over here. So if you want to come to a winning team, come over here, man. Don't hate the player. Hey, the coaching staff, they don't want to put us in the game. You know how it goes.
Yep. Well, you can find us on the audio version at the KP Pounding, Keep Pounding Podcast Network at KP Pounding on X, and also the Fans First Sports Network at Fans First FSN, and then on youtube.com /Tobacco Road Sports Radio, where you can find the YouTube version of this podcast as well. And so, again, this has been Winning the Division, episode number 23. As Ben said, rate, review, subscribe. We will see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in.